So a friend of mine saw I was painting some masks and getting into painting and stuff, and kind of challenged me if I'd be able to paint a Batman or, McFarlane Toys type character. And he would buy it off me or start, getting me to customize some of his figures. So I grabbed this guy and this guy. It's Batman, but I don't know the type of Batman it is. I love the movies, but I'm not into the comics, so, or at least the Batman comics. Anyhow, so I don't know their individual comic or story names. Anyway, so this Batman with the double axes was one of my prototypes where I got it, played around with the type of material, the plastic it is, because it's definitely different than messing around with a NECA. It feels like a harder plastic, a different plastic. Some of it does. Some of it's that soft plastic, like around the crotch area on this one. Anyhow, so I got this guy. I wanted to make him really dirty and gritty. I can even probably make him more gritty. But I wanted to add stuff like the axes, put a soft, good handle on there. Originally, it was sculpted, and I thought it'd be cool to have a thin canvas look to it as far as the material, but I went with this because I found it at the dollar store, and I knew it would go good with the brown of the handle. So what I did is I repainted the handles, added a little more metallic to the gray. Went with a repaint there, a repaint here, so you can see the sculpt in there better, because before it was a flat. I wish I had a double, so I'll show you what it looked like before, but it was just a flat brown handle. And then now he's got a material there. What I did was I took an X-Acto knife and I cut around it, so it was like this thickness, and then it was like a toothpick. That way when you wrap it around it, it's not so big it won't go in his hands. So I did that for both his individual tomahawk axes. Anyhow, this one looks pretty cool. Got some blood on it. But changed his belt and his bat symbol. It was like a toy yellow. I added a gold there and dirtied it up some. These are actually scratches in the sculpt, but you can't see them on the original paint job because it's so thick and it's only one color. So I just kind of made it look like a lot of wear and tear there. So he's real dirty, real grimy. He's got cool blood, some flesh marks, and you couldn't even see that in the original sculpt. I mean, I know they're trying to keep it under a certain price point, but the original sculpt had nothing. It was just a flat gray. And I didn't even know he was that wounded when I first got him. As soon as I opened him up, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun one to practice on. So I got real good. I'll get in close there. How nice that looks with his, with the flesh underneath, especially there. Looks really good because I painted that flesh color in there. And then put in some blood so you can just barely make out the skin. Here's his leg, same thing. He's got a cut on the back of his thigh. That looks pretty good. I think he's two-tone here with the gray. Just here and on the inner thigh. But I didn't like how that looked, so I just wanted him one gritty, dirty color gray with a lot of scratches. I think now that I realize I want him even more, caked in dirt and muck. But that's how he is. I think he came out pretty good. This is kind of like my work in progress at all times, I guess. I wanted to make him really dirty, really grimy. Yeah, I didn't do the back as much, but I gave him line work in the bottom because it was just kind of plain. It looks good. The sculpt and the look of him looks cool, but he was just too plain from the hips down. So I gave him some line work. Yeah, line work there. Painted these gray, painted these black. Originally they were gray, and they just looked terrible. I don't know, they were so out of place when they were gray. So I painted those up, repainted the whole belt so it actually has different colors to it instead of that bright yellow. Even the back of the belt looks pretty good. This is way off though, because when it was wet, the paint looked like it matched close, and I knew I was going to make this really dark, but I ended up not darkening this to match. So yeah, so he's kind of like in a mid-process. I also chiseled out the back of the underside of his neck there so he can look up a little more and look side to side a little more. Just a tiny bit. You can do it even more and get him to look up a lot. Like here's the Batman in a, what is that thing called? Like where you're in the nut house, you're a crazy person, they strap a straitjacket on you. Anyhow, I was playing around with different types of axes. Originally, I was going to remake axes for that Batman. So this is just kind of foam, seeing how it would look. Would it look like stone? And then I just painted a handle from like craft wood, sharpened it to a point. It's something that he would make as he's breaking out, I guess. That was the idea I was going for. Anyway, that was just practicing with material. See how different material looks. Looks like stone, like metal, once you're done painting it. So that's the idea for this practice thing. This doesn't even matter. You can throw that away. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so here's Batman. Didn't do much with the head. I was considering it because there's definitely different designs there. But I'm just not really sure about caking too much paint onto his head. So for now, I used a charcoal powder because when you use a liquid acrylic, what it does is it settles, and it looks good for monsters, and it looks good for like blood and grime and like rocks and, you know, like terrain. Just by how it settles, it looks great for that shit. But when it comes to something like this, like a dry, dirty kind of has been worn and you're in basements and you haven't washed it, I thought a charcoal powder would look a lot better, and it came out fantastic. I just quickly went in and did random as if like he was carrying bodies or something. So there's a lot of just dirt, more dirt on this side like he was carrying it, and then some over here, dirtied up the backs here with these straps. I was even considering doing a little more with these straps, but that's a lot of work. So I just, you know, added that level of dirt, grime to them. Even his belt. I did repaint these because mine had like a dry brush on them, and it looked like they were broken pieces of metal or stone, but they barely had any paint on them. So I just acted like they were chiseled pieces of metal, like spare metal. So I did a little bit of blood on this side and repainted them, but that was pretty much it. Repainted them, added a little blood, and then did a charcoal dusting. So that way he's kind of dirty. The original suit was all clean. It was just straight canvas look, but it has rips and tears and it looks worn and old. So I don't know. I didn't like that look of brand new, but it was sculpted to look old. See how he's kind of got like rips, and it looks old and grungy. So I wanted him to look old and grungy. So that came out real well. I think so. I really think so. Got a little bloody cut. He could even have a little more grime here. I guess I was really hyper focused on the chest there, because he really pops when he's got that grime look. And especially for the Joker head, I added a little bit of gray, like a light gray dry brush to bring out some of those details. Because before it was just a flat black. And I like how that came out. The bottom even, yeah. Bottom's even got a little, he's got some blood on his knuckles, just little touches like that. Maybe even got poked or stabbed or something. I don't know. But I tried to give him a little bit of work done on him. So just powder over. I like this the best because it works perfectly with that type of material. Powder's something I've only worked on a little bit, and it's actually something I'm really excited using it more and more. I had it for like a year laying around, and I barely used it because it's fine powder. It gets all over shit. So when I brought it out for this plastic, because the wet look was not sticking, the wet acrylic was not sticking well to this. Not wet acrylic, but like washes. So yeah, so that's this Batman. I think this is like Last Night or White Night, something like that. One of them's Last Night on Earth. One of them is, damn, I don't know. Metal Batman? One of these are a metal, I think. So there you go. Let me know what you think so far. Next, we'll take a look at the trench coat Batman with his bat symbol battle axe. That thing is badass. Yes, it's way too big, But that was a little mini project. I made them darker, so we'll look at that next, and then some blood work. Look at that, man. Oh yeah, that shit is crazy. All right, let me know. Give me some thoughts below on my progress, and if you're, you know, customizing some stuff on your own, holla at your boy. Some tips.